Welcome back, HarborHawks fans, to another episode of the Parking Lot Preview. Here we are, Game 5, ready for the HarborHawks to take on the Bourne Braves in Bourne at Dorn Park. I am Mike Maynard alongside Matt Coates. We're in for a big game tonight. A former playoff matchup from last year. These two teams in the Western Division see each other a lot. Maybe not the biggest of friends, but we'll see. They're going to have to battle it out tonight. Matt, what do you think about tonight's matchup?
You mentioned it, Mike. I'd consider this a bit of a rivalry game. The past 2 seasons, the Bourne Braves have won the Cape Cod Baseball League Championship, and in doing so, they've eliminated the HarborHawks in the West Division Finals each year. So clearly, we want to get past them this season. So this game means a lot to the players, to the fans, the entire organization. Hello, Wind. I consider this a bit of a rivalry, so certainly a big game today.
Mother Nature back at it again, shaking the camera and shaking up our voices.
Yes.
But doesn't affect the Hawks. The Hawks are hot right
Yep.
now. 4-0. What a start.
Yep.
Hyannis HarborHawks here. The Bourne Braves only at 1-3. Maybe not what we've been used to seeing them in the past couple of years, as you mentioned, former champions. This should be an interesting one. The Hyannis HarborHawks coming off an off day. Everybody, I
Yes.
should mention, coming off an off day here. But the HarborHawks coming off another Mercy Rule victory. Matt, what happened in that game?
Yeah, so you said off day yesterday, but on Tuesday, the Hawks dominated, winning 11-0 against the Chatham Anglers, another victory after 6.5 innings. During their dominant 4-0 start, Mike, 3 out of the 4 games scored 10 or more runs. Each time that's happened, it's been right here, just behind the camera over there, over yonder, on the field at McKeon Park. The one time we played a road game was a 5-1 victory. So it'll be very interesting to see how we play at Dorn Park today. Very limited sample size, but we've been smashing at home and still playing well on the road, but not quite as well. It'll be interesting to see what kind of offensive production we get on the road today. But Mike, you look at that score, 11-0, production all over the lineup. But one guy had his hand in a lot of the runs, and that was Zach York. He opened the scoring with a 3-run homer in the first inning. 3 runs there, 3 RBIs there, and then he added on 2 more RBIs throughout the rest of the game. I believe he went 2 for 3, 1 homer, 5 RBIs. Almost half of the offensive production he accounted for.
In a Mercy Rule victory.
In a Mercy Rule victory. Who knows what would have happened if he had another at-bat. But clearly a great game for York, and then a great game for the rest of the team. But Mike, that pitching staff, no runs again.
We say it time and time again. That's really been the highlight of this team. You mentioned 10 runs, 10 runs, 10 runs, but the pitching staff's not allowing any runs. So these Mercy Rule victories, they're a proponent of just everyone on the team having a good game day in and day out. And speaking of 10 runs, we look at Bourne's last game 2 days ago against Harwich, 10 runs given up. So this Bourne team's been known to give up 10 runs. The Hyannis team is able to score 10 runs. We could see a high-flying game tonight with a lot of runs being scored. The wind's picking up. Mother Nature, as we mentioned, is out here. We don't know what it's like down in Bourne yet, but windy conditions down there could send some big flies out of here, like Zach York's last game. So should be in for a big game. Bourne coming off a rough game for their standards that they want to bounce back from, and Hyannis continuing to try to just keep the ball rolling. So it should be interesting. But anything you saw out of Bourne in that game 2 nights ago that is of note for this one?
Yeah, like you mentioned, it was a bit of a tough game for them. They lost 10-2. Starting pitcher Matt McShane went 2 2/3 of an inning, allowing 4 earned runs. Obviously not the start he wanted. And then Chris Stanfield out of Auburn had an RBI, and then their catcher Matt Graveline had another RBI to account for the scoring. But you take a step back and you look at the Braves as an organization. Last year when they won the championship, they did so as a 4 seed in the West. So although they might have gotten off to a slow start this season, this team knows how to perform when it matters most. So while this game might not look huge on paper, it's only the 5th game of the season. The HarborHawks really want to get this victory, assert themselves high in the West Division standings, and keep the Braves lower. But even if they do so, the Braves get in the playoffs, watch out. Last year, got in as a 4 seed, got it done, got the whole thing. So clearly not the start the Braves wanted, but I'm sure they're not panicking over there. They know wherever they find themselves, they can just sneak into the playoffs, they can do damage.
And you mentioned this might not be the biggest game of the season here, but I'm sure Bourne, looking at that 4-0 record for the HarborHawks, is saying, you know what, we're going to circle this one. We want to take a win home and show the rest of the league that even with a 1-3 start, we can beat the teams when we need to. So should be a really interesting one. But you talk about the pitching for Bourne the other night. Let's talk about the pitching tonight. Hyannis starting Luke Nichols, 6'2", left-hander out of Louisiana Tech, 78 innings pitched, a 4.5 ERA, 82 strikeouts and 29 walks. Unbelievable.
Yep.
Slightly over 9 Ks per nine. Helped him land on the first team All-Conference USA this year as a junior. He's got a 3-pitch mix, pretty standard, but he makes it work. What do you got on him? Anything interesting?
Yeah, an arm we trust, and I'll get to that a bit more later, hint, hint. But an arm we trust, obviously you mentioned our pitching staff has been excellent so far, and I think the organization believes that he's going to go out and continue that dominance going forward. Not too much, like you said. His mix is fastball, slider, changeup. That changeup only throws to right-handers. As a lefty, wants that to run away from the right-handed bats. Going to be hard to throw to lefties, doesn't want to run into them too much. So something to look out for against the right-handers. So against the lefties, look for only really that fastball and slider. Little Jacob deGrom-esque there with only that 2-pitch mix. I would love it if you could go out and pitch like Jacob deGrom tonight. I mean, I think we would probably win the game.
I don't think anyone would complain, at least from the Harbor Hawks.
Yeah, the Braves might.
The Braves might. Braves fans.
Prime Jacob deGrom out there, they probably don't want that.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't think so. But we'll see. And then on the other side, we talked a little bit before the show started. This might be the best arm the Harbor Hawks have seen tonight. Tell me about Ben Bivey.
Yeah, so Ben Bivey is a 6'6" tall guy, right-handed pitcher out of Arkansas. Was only a freshman this past year. Through 0.1 innings pitched, 5.83 ERA, 36 Ks, and only 12 walks. So that gives him about an 11 K per 9 ratio. He had 15 appearances, 7 starts, including 5 SEC appearances and 2 SEC starts. For his pitch mix, we're looking at a fastball, sits around 92 to 96, can get the velo up there. Cutter, curveball, slider, and changeup. I talked to some of the guys in our baseball operations department. They're the ones who really know baseball, really know it in and out. They watch the college game, they know these players, and they told me so far, Ben Bivey is likely to be the best arm we've seen. SEC, we know the best conference in all of college baseball. Like I said,
well, debatable. Some people might go ACC, but
I'm going to go out and say SEC is the best. Comment if you disagree. Comment if you agree. Leave a like if you agree. Don't leave a dislike regardless. But anyway, Ben Bivey is well tested in the SEC playing for Arkansas. Big guy, can throw hard. I believe he pitched already on the Cape, got hit around a little bit, but that's tough to do your first time on the Cape. We'll see. I think he has good stuff. Hopefully we can hit him, but you never know till the game starts, Mike.
You mentioned he's a young guy, though. Freshman against these big hitters out of the Hyannis Harbor Hawks lineup. 4-0, that's going to be a little bit nerve-wracking. You mentioned, has that experience in the SEC, should be good for the big game, should be set to go tonight, so it should be a really interesting one. But we've talked a lot about pitching. I want to move on to a little bit of hitting right now for my player of the game pick. We talked about him earlier. It's hard not to go with the hot hand. I'm going to go with Zach York as my pick for tonight's game. As you mentioned, 5 RBIs with a 3-run homer 2 nights ago, and we've seen him day in and day out here at the field early, real early, with hitting coaches, with anyone he can get, hitting off the tee, getting drills in. He's working on his game. He's obviously started out slow. First 2 games didn't get a hit, but got a day off game 3 and then came back game 4 and just lit it up. So I think Zach York's got the hot hand. The Hawks are hot as a whole. I think he's going to continue to get the ball rolling and hopefully has a little bit of a snowball effect to maybe has 6 RBIs tonight. Who knows? That'd be pretty nice. Again, I'm sure the Harbor Hawks fans would be pretty happy with that. But yeah, I'm going to go with York. What do you got for your player of the game tonight?
I know I'd be happy with 6 RBIs anyway. That's for sure, Mike. I can't really hand that pick. I caught up with him after he had that 5 RBI performance just 2 nights ago. And he said, like you mentioned, he's getting here early. The hitting coach noticed a little bit of issues in his approach, maybe, so to speak. So he said he's working with him. Really happy to get to work with him. Simplified his approach. And as you can see, the result is showing on the field. I'm hoping and almost expecting that this is the start of a upsurge from Zach York. Changing approach, simplifying his approach will hopefully help him going forward. It obviously worked so far. So let's see how it does going forward tonight.
It worked last summer as well.
It did, exactly. With that being said, I'm going to switch back to the defense, Mike. I'm taking your statement. Pitching staff, strength of this team. Hopefully that continues tonight. I'm going to go with Luke Nichols as our player of the game. I'm going to be honest, guys. I had no idea who to pick. I tell you every time, doing too well. 1 through 9, doing too well. Pitching staff, doing too well. It's so hard to single out one guy. So I asked Director of Baseball Operations, Cole, who do I pick today? Who's my player of the game? He sat there, pondered. Nichols, I'm trusting you, Cole. I hope he goes out there and shoves, nails, dominant performance. That's my guy. That's all I got.
I love to hear it. Honestly, at this point, we might need to start picking like GM Nick Johnson as player of the game because he's built this roster. Cole Vellis, Mikey Lucario, you guys.
Mitch Carriger.
You deserve it. Mitch Carriger.
He sets the lineup.
Everyone. We talked to Ray Korn last night, me and the writers. he talked to us for I don't even know how long. Shout out Ray Korn. Guy's a great interview. But you know, all these guys throughout the entire organization really playing a huge role in this team's success. And like you mentioned, it's hard to pick. So hopefully we're right tonight, but hopefully the team just overall. Like, can we pick the team? Can we pick just like
Can I pick 5-0?
player of the game? Harbor Hogs 5-0. I like that. Without further ado, I mean, if you can, head down to Bourne tonight. If you can't, check out the broadcast on here. We'll catch you next time tomorrow for another episode of the Parking Lot Preview. Thank you so much for watching, and
Go Hawks.